This podcast is brought to you by LMU Munich.
As we had it yesterday, no company advertisement, like the common rules for lightning talks. 5 minutes, the most. So we will give you a 2-minute sign, 1-minute sign, and then it's over. And yeah, so we are going to start with Mike and his EuroSciPy lightning talk. Is Mike here? Oh, he's gone. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, Jonah. So the next one is then Jonah, develop Django apps inside Docker. Okay, give him a hand.
Yeah, but I want to see my note. Okay, thank you for coming. Before I really start, one thing first, I want to say, I prepared this whole talk before I saw Daniela's talk. Any similarities are actually quite accidental. But, hi, my name is Daniel. I want to show you this tool I made. It's called Jonah. It allows you to develop your Django applications inside a Docker container. Why is that a good idea? Because you'll be able to develop your whole application in exactly the same environment that you're going to, host it on later, and also it allows you to easily switch hosts and whatever. So the tool is called Jonah, and of course you can do the whole thing without any additional tools. You can just run your Docker and whatever, but this tool makes it quite more convenient and comfortable to do the whole thing. Now, I realize that not all of you are really interested in Docker and or Django. So what I'm going to do is you're going to have to look on the right side of my screen for information on Jonah, and if you're not interested, I'm putting pictures of my cats on the left side of the screen. They're called Mimi and Momo, that's Momo, and they're super derpy and cute. And they say hi. All right, so let's start with a super tiny, easy example. Can everyone read this? It's good, it's well readable, right? I'm kidding. So this is what it looks like. It's just a command line tool. So you can just open your command line, start typing. It's written in Python and it runs on Python 2 and Python 3. You install it using pip. On my slides, yes. You install it using pip. It's super small and everything, and you also should have installed Docker on your system. So if you can run Docker whatever commands on your system, then you should be fine. So first thing you're going to do is you want to create a new project. So you run the Jonah initialize command, and this will create a Docker file, various config files that you can later edit, so to customize the whole software for your tastes. And it will also download a Docker image and install Django in there, and also create a whole project. So the very first time you run this, it's going to take a bit of a time, but every subsequent time you do this, it should be quite fast. So now you have your project. You can run Jonah develop. And this will start the development server inside Docker, but it will of course expose the ports outside, so you can just open your browser, go to localhost, and you will see the it worked message from Django. At this point, you just open up your favorite IDE or editor and start editing your Django project files. And it will of course transparently map all those files inside the Docker container, so you can just develop it like you're used to. Some changes, and so there's some changes in Django that, for example, if I edit the admin or whatever, made some changes to my models, I will have to restart the Django server. In this case, I use Jonah reload. And then there's other things like creating migrations or whatever, where I actually have to use the manage py command or have to change something else. So I can just run Jonah shell, and you see it will just drop me inside the container in my own shell. What else? I love testing, and I'm very convinced that testing is super important. So of course, test is built in. So you have the test command, which will run all your tests. It allows you to configure this by wrapping all this in a shell script, so you can edit the shell script and whatever. And once you're done with your tests and you created your feature and whatever, it's time to actually push this onto a server. And you have the Jonah stage command, which will try to push your finished Docker container or your Docker image onto your staging repository, and the deploy command, which will do the same onto your live repository. And then you just have to configure your hosting to actually automatically read out your Docker containers. All right, you're finished. So what you want to do is you want to just shut down your Jonah machine or your Docker machine and whatever. So you use the Jonah stop command, and you feel very happy about it. And I also feel very happy about having given you this talk. Thank you very much. I'm Break the System on Twitter. I'm Winsmith on GitHub. It's a bit confusing, I'm sorry about that. And Mimi and Momo also have their own Twitter and Instagram account if you want to follow them. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next talk is from Michaela, and it's Euro SciPy. Okay.
Yeah, hello. For those who are wondering why Mike is not here, the problem is he had to leave early, so earlier than expected, so I'm talking instead of him. First of all, my name is Michaela Müller. I study bioinformatics, and I'm a participant of the Python Software Verband. And I want to present to you, the Euro SciPy. So many people probably know this new conference, but generally, for all the people who are interested in more Python conferences and more fun Python conferences, the Euro SciPy is definitely one to go to. So first of all, what is it? Where is it? It takes, this year, 2017, we will hold it in Erlangen, Germany, from August the 28th till September the 1st, which is from Tuesday to Saturday. The general timetable is we have 2 days of tutorials in the beginning, then 2 days of presentations, which are the main conferences, and 1 day of sprints. Now, the interesting part, what are the topics? Well, generally, the Euro SciPy is about what you can do with Python in order to, how you can use Python for science. So, a few interesting things are parallel computing, especially if you have big data. Parallel computing can help you with faster performance. We have data flow and visualization, many different scientific algorithms in Python, web portals and applications, which are very, very important for many scientists, also for many non-programmers. And Python generally in big science projects. So there will be some talks on science projects which include Python and are quite successful already. So, generally, the registration to the Euro SciPy will be open very soon. For more information, you can check out the website, and we will keep it up to date, so have an eye on it. The final program will probably be announced on July the 14th, and early bird tickets will be sold until July the 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Next will be Stefan with Async Await with Sison. Okay, give him big hands.
Hi everyone. Stefan Bene from Scooby. You may know me as one of the core developers of LXML, actually the core developer of LXML and core developer of Cython. As you may know, who here actually knows Cython? Quite a few people, and who's used it, like actively used it?
Pyrex, is that okay?
Pyrex is fine too. Pyrex is the predecessor of Cython. It's no longer being maintained because there is Cython, but yeah, some people still know it. Yes, I was guessing that. That's the guy who initially invented LXML. XML was initially written in Pyrex, and now it's written in Cython, so that's evolved. Okay, yes. What's this talk about? As you may know, Cython has, we try to keep up with recent Python developments, recent Python features, and Python 3.5 added these async await keywords, which now support proper coroutines, asynchronous coroutines, but like general coroutines in Python. While they were working on that, I quickly implemented that same thing for Cython, which now means that we support the same thing in Python 2.6 when you compile your code in Cython. So we always backport features if we can at all. So here's a quick example. I'm preparing my Jupyter notebook to support Cython code in place, in line. Use async IO for it. Have a little function that runs a coroutine asynchronously. And here's the first example. I have Cython code here, Cython compiled code. Actually, this is would look the same, exactly the same in Python 3.5. You could just I could just remove this line here and it would actually execute in Python. Here I'm compiling it, so it's completely compatible. Cython does the same thing. It just compiles it and executes it, and so when I run it, it works the same thing, it's the same way as in Python, just faster as intended. Okay, so I have the same function in Python here, and I can freely mix Python functions with Cython functions, Cython compiled functions, so the async await is completely compatible between the two. The coroutines that you get are exactly like Python coroutines. They just don't execute Python code, they execute compiled code, native code, which is generated from the Python code that you put in. Here's a bit of ping pong. One function being implemented in Cython, saying pong, one implemented in Python, saying ping. They are pretty much the same code, just actually no difference at all. So I'll compile one in Cython, implement the other in Python, and then same thing here. I can have each of these functions call the other one recursively, and they're going to say ping pong whenever Cython code is executed or Python code is executed. How fast are these coroutines? This is the Python function. Yeah, well, I have to switch off energy optimization here, I guess. Yes, here, to get proper results. Okay. When I run when I run the Python code, it takes 380. Cython is 1/3 faster, I think. And calling one from the other is still faster than just doing everything in Python. Okay. Why would I want to do it? Well, it's faster, but I can also use Cython to do the usual stuff that I do with it. I can speed up code, but I can also talk to C libraries and use C code. And so here's a little example where I implement a coroutine which does protocol decoding at the C level, so I get a byte string in. I decode it really in C code so that I get the fastest possible decoding for that line. And Cython will compile it into a coroutine, a normal Python coroutine, and it's going to decode it fast for me. There you go.
Thank you, Stefan. Great talk. Okay, and next is Nenad with the 9th circle of Plone. Okay.
Hello, my name is Nenad. 5 years ago, I went to the Plum conference at Arnhem and basically fell in love with the Plum community and tried to get in there, but failed because Plum was too hard for me. There were so many moving parts and it was just too, you wouldn't know where to start. And I was obsessed with the idea that if I were able to draw the core parts of Plone and how they work together, I would be able to learn it. At some point of time, I gave up, but I did write an introduction to a visual cheat sheet for Plone, and after writing it, I thought maybe it would be good for a lightning talk at some point of time. So here we are. 9th circle of Plone, visual cheat sheet for wannabe Plone developers. Introduction. Once upon a time, there was a friendly little clan gathered around a religious cult called Plone. The adepts of the cult lived all over the known internet and called themselves Plone men. Plone men were very happy people. They had everything proper religious cult needs. They had their founders, their robes, they had their symbols, they had a bunch of previous religious cults to build upon, like Zope and CMF, and new cults to build upon their cult, like Pyramid. Yet they were friendly to the adepts of other cults, as they all spoke parcel tongue and understood each other. Yes, there was even a snake involved. They sure had their secret knowledge. It was so secret that nobody could know it all. But whenever you needed a piece of their knowledge, there was always a friendly Plumman around to ask if you knew whom to ask, or page to read it yourself if you knew where to find it. The most important canonical parts of their knowledge were fixed in their holy book. It's outdated now. Which only the initiated ones could understand. Plum men spent most of the time playing an amazing multiplayer online game spread over thousands of servers played for real money, also called Plone. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it myself. Plone men loved their game. It gave them everything. A complex system of interconnected dungeons to explore and conquer, ways to build huge virtual kingdoms, which they rule as they pleased, nasty insects, enemies called bugs to fight and slay, tools and weapons, and best thing of all, most of the time they earn money by playing. Despite of all the pitfalls and many ways to shoot yourself in the foot, the game seemed impossible to lose. Even more than playing the game by themselves, they enjoyed their clan gatherings called sprints. Yet happiness was not complete in Plone land. There was a dark shadow rising. The clan desperately wished for more new members to play Plone with them, yet few babies were born. The main reason for that was that Plone men got sex all wrong. Other than members of other clans, they delivered newborns through a rather painful initiation ritual. The ritual included the aspirant banging his own forehead with the holy book of Plone for 9 months. They called this process Phibutop, fucking your brain up to Plone. Having finished Phibutop, you'd be ready to play Plone with other Plone men. Plone were sympathetic about people ready to Phibutop. After all, they had all been there, yet they were sure there was no way to make Phibutop easier for the rookies. But as with every good online game, a good cheat sheet can make all the difference. So marry aspirant ready to start your own Phibutop. This is the cheat sheet generations before you have craved for. Chapter 1. The ninth circle of Plum, abandoned hope, all ye who enter here. To be continued. I didn't continue.
Thank you, Nenad. That was a thrilling story. I think we should make a movie out of it. Okay, next will be Armin. Armin, okay, cool. With just give me a leap second.
Thanks. So when you start learning Python, you dig around in the library and start searching for stuff you know from other programming languages. And then from time to time you work with dates and times, and you try to convert some timestamp, and you go to the date time, import it, and it has a function that's called string parse time, and you give it something like 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds, and it spits out a timestamp. So boring. And then in some log file, I read a timestamp that read 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 60 seconds. And I tried to feed it into date time. And of course, it hiccuped and got me with a value error. Minute can only be from 0 to 59 minutes. Of course, stupid. So it's validating, good. And then I discovered the time module, which also has string parse time. And I fed it that 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 60 seconds, and I got back a time tuple saying, okay, it's 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 60 seconds. No error. And I started wondering, what's going on here? And I read the documentation, and the documentation for the time, string parse time, says minute in the range from 0 to 61. And then I got interested. And the reason the minutes go from 0 to 61 is there is a thing called leap second. So maybe you all know leap years. We get this every 4 years. But there are leap seconds. What the heck is a leap second? And the culprit is our moon, because it slows down the Earth. And Earth rotation isn't stable and isn't always the same. And the moon starts to slow down the Earth. So a billion years before us, the day was only about 8 or 9 hours. Now we have 24 hours. And the Earth starts slowing down, and we have an atomic time, and that atomic time is monotonic. It just ticks on with a very, very regular second. So those two timestamps start drifting aside. And in 1972, people recognized, okay, we are about 10 seconds between atomic time, which is called TAI, Atomique Internationale, so the French get their abbreviations, and the universal time, which measures the Earth rotation, started to differ 10 seconds. So they inserted leap seconds. And of course, you have to recognize and process them. If you, for instance, by legal requirements, are required to have timestamps in your logs and archive them, 60 seconds is perfectly valid. And the 61 in the Python library is there because under very, very rare circumstances, there could be 2 leap seconds within 1 month, which they try to avoid as much as possible. And normally, all the leap seconds are appearing every 2 years. And Python does not validate this. So if you feed 2014 and June 30th, 23 hours and that stuff into Python, it doesn't complain. But there was no leap second there. So I recognized you have to get that leap seconds from the time zone database and then parse it yourself and build your own validating stuff. And the last leap second was 2015 and 2016. And normally they are on June 30th and December 31st. So there are 2 times a year. If you got a GPS receiver, it will notice you in advance that this month will have a leap second. But if you ever stumble upon 60 seconds, that's a perfectly valid time if it's a leap second and you're required to log and process this. Thank you.
Thank you, Armin, for this interesting talk. Okay, next will be Daniel. And guys, get ready for Python adventures in Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
You know me, I'm Daniele. I want to tell you about our Python adventures in Africa. So this is the 3rd PyCon Namibia earlier this year. This was March this year in Windhoek, our third event. So since 2015, we've had 3 PyCons in Namibia. We've had attendees from all over the world, from Africa, from Europe, from the Americas. And the first time we did this in 2015, this was a leap into the complete unknown, because we didn't know what we were doing there or what we were going to find, and they had no idea what was coming to them either. So the days before the first conference, I was praying for an ash cloud or something, some reason not to go and do this thing that we'd started, which could have been a complete disaster. But in fact, we arrived there, we found that they were waiting for us, and it has been a huge success. We've met all these wonderful people who have picked up Python from zero and the idea of the Python community, and they've taken it to work with it. So we've come back in subsequent years, and we've made these connections with the mostly young people from the university. Here are some interesting pictures. This is the most diverse lightning talk queue I've ever seen, with people from every corner of the world. We get taken very seriously there, so that's me on Namibian television. I don't know if you can see it. It says, I'm in fact Python software. So, and they have the Pynam Society, the Python Programming Society. There's Jessica there. She's one of the stalwarts of the community. There's Anna on the left. She's from Zimbabwe. She started PyCon Zimbabwe after this. There's Gabriel from Namibia. He's also one of the lecturers. Jessica teaches Python. She's just graduated, but she's teaching Python to high school students. Here's Humphrey from Zimbabwe, who also worked on PyCon Zimbabwe. So Namibia, in some ways it's very similar to Europe, and in some ways quite different. And if you do manage to go, there are daily flights from Frankfurt to Windhoek. Take some time out and visit this extraordinary countryside, this land where you've not seen anything like this in your life, that's for sure, unless you've been there before. So, since the first PyCon Namibia, we've seen the creation of a local Python community, Python society, local events, local sponsors involved in the conference, Python teaching for the first time, displacing PHP and Java in the university and even in the schools. It provided the seed for PyCon Zimbabwe. They've had one already, and there's another one coming this year in August. This September will be the first PyCon Nigeria, led by Aisha Bello, who came to PyCon Namibia last year. Nigeria is the #1 destination for Django Girls events. There have been more in Nigeria than any other country, I think. I just heard the other day that there's going to be, Pharrell Folly is trying to start a PyCon in Benin in West Africa. Why Python? Well, it's not actually about Python. It's about the skills and the value that it represents for communities and people in Africa. The reason for Python is the Python community, because the Python community can be relied on to do things like, okay, we'll join. There's no Python community in Namibia, but we'll help start one. We'll come over and try this thing for the first time. So companies and individuals made the effort and took that leap of faith. And we could rely on the Python community to take a chance on that. So it's not about Python. We don't care what they learn. It's the skills that matter. Well, what next? There are events starting all over the place. Please take a photo of this. I know that it's not so clear, but if you want to be a part of it, there's an email list. You can follow them on Twitter, find out what these people are doing, talk to them, see what Python means in Africa, because it means different things from what it means in Europe. They're thinking about ways of transforming their countries and their economies and their universities and so on. For them, this is something really important for the future. You'll find them on Twitter. They've got websites. Maybe see you in a PyCon in Africa soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you very much. Oh, I better take this one. Thanks.
All right, next is Philip with REST and Plum React. That's a new project of the Plum Foundation, and yeah, we can be curious about it.
Thank you. So I guess you all know kind of how Plum looks like, kind of boring. So that's content, there's a folder, you can edit, add content. I'm going to add a folder just because I can. Another folder. And I save it, and I can publish it or submit it for publication. So who realized what that I tricked you? What is that? Is that Plum? No. Thank you. That's not Plum. That's actually a React application. It's a single-page app, kind of React thingy. And it uses the REST API that Plum now has to provide a React front end. And it's the back end for that is what's the back end for the React application? WordPress. No, it's Plum. That was good. That was excellent. So here's this is the real Plum front end that and here's the real object that I just created, and it's private, and I'm going to publish it. And when I go back to the here, now it's published. I don't know if you saw that; it just switched from private to published. So that is a new project that we've been working on for a couple of years now, and we decided that it's of strategic importance for Plum to play along with all kinds of nice web technologies that are around now, namely JavaScript, because people want to play with APIs and not deal with the tough backends. And most, not all, but most of the features of Plum are already implemented in the React front end, including the Mosaic editor. Here's the Mosaic editor. I can move objects around. I can change the layout for my content and say this. This will looks like this now. So this is the Mosaic layout editor, and and so on, so on. So all of that is here. That's Plum REST API. It's on GitHub. It's production ready. It's still Alpha 5, but the reason for that is just because the maintainer is German, and he's very strict about keeping the no breaking changes in beta releases. So, but it's beta's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Here's Plum React, and it's the REST API has that's the front end. It's also on GitHub. This is Plum REST API. It has really nice documentation. Here's an example. No, here's a nicer example. How to work with it. It's really, really easy. It's really well documented. So you do HTTP or HTTP or whatever you fancy request and say, okay, this is the user ID. These are the roles I want to give the user for this and this object. So here I have my the example. Where's the call? Here, Plum folder sharing. So for the folder inside the Plum application, I assign the role reviewer, reader, editor, and contributor to this such and such a test user. So all the core features that make Plum really powerful, like local roles, workflow, user management, groups, the tough things that you have to workflow, the things that are tough in like business applications are already there. Some of the minor features are not yet there. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Philip. So next is Polyester with Find the Pattern. Okay, big hand.
Hi, I just want to do some quick remarks on stuff that is very dear to me, and I hope to bring it a bit dearer to you. And there is a pattern in it, and I hope you will discover it, and I hope you will act upon it. First, we all care about security. That's what you have to do when you do things on the web. And in security, there's like 4 main things to keep in mind. It's a process, it's not a product. It's never finished, you have to keep doing it. It's surprisingly hard to get it right. It's like one of those where you have the 80-20 rule. The first 80% is easy, the corner cases can be really hard. If you try to bolt it on as an afterthought, that is a really bad idea. It never kind of works. It needs to be there from the design phase on. Otherwise, just forget it. But you can rest. There are friendly experts available. So we all know this, and we have sort of internalized this and think like, okay, this is the right way to do security. Hopefully, I think so. Yeah, most of you sort of nod. Yeah. My question is, what about documentation? Guess how many things important to it? 4. It's a process. It's not a product. It's never finished. It's surprisingly hard to get it right. I'm on the documentation team for Plone and for a few other projects. It's really hard to get it right. It's one of those 80-20 things. So you have to keep doing it. As an afterthought, it's really bad. If you try to write your documentation after your product is finished, you don't have a product. You have a bunch of lines of code. That's not a product. But luckily, there are friendly experts available who would love to meet you. And I will tell you also about some of those experts. What is new in documentation land is there's now a lot more tools for continuous integration. There's mature frameworks. You can even use Koala, which is represented here. There's other tools. It comes with Jenkins, Git hooks, whatever you want. So you can actually test like 80% of your documentation. The last 20% will always have to be done by a human, but you can get like the easy 80% out of the way. You can check for language, for bad language, for sexist language, for offensive language. You can test for grammar, you can test for syntax, you can test for links. And there's a conference, Write the Docs. It's not only a conference, it's a community as well. It's in Prague, it's also always in the US, but it's probably easier to go to Prague, so I would say come there. And we're also writing a lot of testing tools. So there will probably be an unconference in Amsterdam early next year called Test the Docs. Next point, really high on my heart, is accessibility. I guess you can start to see the pattern now. It's a process. It's really hard to get it right. Trust me on this one. And as an afterthought, it never works. But again, it's relatively easy to get the first 80% done. And also there's continuous integration now. There is a fabulous framework called Askatasun, which you can integrate in Jenkins and whatever, and it will do away with most of the stuff that computers are good at testing and you shouldn't waste your time on, so you can focus on the things that humans need to test. And also, most of the older test frameworks spit out like 20,000 warnings at a time, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to make this. That's bad. Here you can suppress the errors that are like not vital. So it really helps. There's also a community around accessibility. It's very loose. It's called Role is Drinks. The accessibility community is not big enough to host their own conference, so we usually tag on to other conferences and have drinks there and talks. So look it up, Role is Drinks. There's bound to be one in your city. Very, very last one, diversity. How many factors? You haven't paid attention, I think? No. There's a pattern to this. So basically, we're good at recognizing patterns, so behave like it. There is a pattern to all of this. If all of you start treating accessibility, documentation, and diversity as seriously as security, I will be a very happy camper. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, guess what's next? It's Plone. So the next talk is by Jordi.
Sorry.
Right. And the topic is the upcoming PlumConf in Barcelona. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. Who has been in Barcelona? That's a lot of people, right. Who hasn't been there? Okay, have a very nice excuse for you to come for a week. This October, from the 16th to the 22nd, we will have the PlumConf in Barcelona. It will be 7 days. 2 days will be workshops, 3 days will be talks, and 2 days will be sprints. So basically, we'll have 3 tracks. The first one will be about Plum. The second one will be Python Web, and the third one will be front-end development. So if you would like to hear about these things, please come and talk to me or anyone in the Plum team, and we will be really, really happy to have you there. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jordi. Next is Alex with Python San Sebastian.
Well, hi, thanks. I guess you heard yesterday about EuroPython. It's going to be in July in Rimini. You have been to Rimini, right? Or, well. So, but have you been to San Sebastian? Yes. So, yeah, so I'm giving you an opportunity to come to San Sebastian. You know, it's in the north of Spain. It's 6, 7, and 8 of October. We are going to have Jessica Michaela and Peter Wong. We have a very nice Pinchos night on Friday, very nice cider house dinner. The venue is very nice. Have you tried the Pinchos? Cider house is also amazing. Yeah, so come.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, now that was the lightning talks. Thank you guys for the lightning talks. They were really good. And now we're going to continue with a raffle. So let's see. Some of you might be happy to win.
So, as promised, you are so active today on Twitter. Thanks a lot to all of you. I guess it's double more than we did yesterday. Thank you. And we could begin with latest. Latest means, no, actually we stop. Why? Because here we can see the most liked tweets on this feed. And it's actually not there. Let's have here. Let's sort it with Python Web. Then the top one. Hashtag. Hashtag. Okay. So this one posted by us. We can't win something like this, the drone. So unfortunately, team, sorry, we will not get that. The next, the most likable tweet was by Python, children time with ice cream. So we have 15 likes. This is the next one. So and yeah, then again us. So who is the Python? Ah, okay. Applause.
Thank you.
So you had the ice cream today, and then you have a new toy. So it's an amazing day for you, really. And I would like to also show you the second place. It's Alisa with a nice tweet on our T-shirts. So I believe she needs our espresso machine, definitely for the tweet she did today with EE, our second volunteer as well. Thanks a lot. And let's look what else we have. I have a third place, actually, for the third present, and I would like to go through the latest posts. Wow. Sorry, no more espresso machine for you, Timo, today. And I've seen one really funny and unique tweet today. Also unique, but still like this one. Have you guys seen this one? I mean, it's something completely amazing. I mean, there is a bike, and then you probably code something. Jens, Erik, you probably know better what you are doing there, right? Was it like a code, or were you just chatting or tweeting, actually?
It was just for show, but yeah.
Nah, okay. How do you like it, guys? Was it nice? Yeah? Yeah. So applause. Come. So here we go. You have our last espresso to go, number B06XGC57N1.
Okay,
Enjoy.
thank you very much.
Portable
Yeah.
espresso. So this is an end of our raffle for today and for the PyCon Web 2017, but it's just the beginning. This is some photos of our team and what was in the beginning, so this is part of the history we just started to build. A keynote, as you might remember, Rachel, thanks a lot. Then the photo we did yesterday, amazing photo, thanks a lot for joining and doing it and having some fun. Applause. Actually, yeah, some statistic, really funny and interesting statistic, how much bottles we consume. Can you imagine? We consumed 660 bottles of water. Like, really, think about it, how much. We had a 200 Club Mate. Also impressive. We consume about 100 liters mass in Hofbrauhaus. And we actually had 750 cups from Malefiz. And some statistic for you, Anton.
Okay, I will also just give, can you hear me? Yeah, great. Some statistics of our conference attendees. So these are the top 5 countries that filled up the poll. I am quite sure that that is not the complete picture. So I could ask you once again, please do the poll in line upper. This could still change because we were expecting a bit different results there. Anyway, what we have from numbers is this, so I show this to you. I want to say thank you to all 5 countries shown here for the great interest and coming to our event. I hope you liked it, and I hope we'll see you again. Meanwhile, I would also like to show you the interest. This is just a screenshot from Google Analytics for, I think, last month or so. These are the countries that were going the most on our web page. So obviously, the Germany is number 1. That's no surprise here. This is more surprising. United States, 914 sessions. Okay, why not? We are happy about that. Then comes Ukraine. That's also a surprise. I don't know. Did I tell to too many friends? Or I'm not sure. Then comes Poland.
I tweet.
You tweeted?
Yeah,
okay, great.
maybe
Now you can send your drone with a big poster around Ukraine.
It's a small drone. It would be like a small poster.
Yeah, you have to train your eyes. Okay, then the Poland comes, Italy, India, Spain, United Kingdom, Austria, Netherlands. Well, I would love to read them all out, but I think that the better picture would be this. This is a map of our traffic, and we are really, really happy to see this map and to share it with you, because the idea of a PyCon Web was to create a global conference that would be interesting for the whole world, and having such a short notice, just like 4 months, or was it 5 months, getting this traffic feels amazing. So thank you guys. Good. This is just the top 100 countries from traffic as screenshots from Google Analytics, because they simply don't show more. And you know, even if there was just one person from Faroe Islands coming to PyConWeb.com, it still feels amazing, really.
It's proxy.
Don't spoil it. All right. Yes, we are slowly going to the end. At this point, I would like to thank again to our sponsors, to the Munich community, to the LMU, which is hosting us, to our awesome crew, to you guests showing this great interest for the event. for everyone, even who is not here, but there are people who are retweeting it, spreading the word. This is so important for the young event as this one. And I'm sure that the next year I will show you even cooler graphs. I hope to see you guys. I don't say goodbye, I say see you, because we are almost certain that there will be this thing next year. So, thank you guys. We're welcoming the crew again.